FlossTube friends, it is Jen from Delicious Threads. Today is Friday, February 2nd, 2018. Happy New Year! I haven't recorded since, well, I haven't uploaded any videos since the end of December. I did record about a week and a half ago, but the kids were in the background making a lot of noise. I was super distracted. I didn't have time to edit, so I decided to just not worry about that video, pretend it didn't exist, and record when I got a chance to. So today I lucked out. My 22-month-old refuses to nap, but today I got her down for a nap, so I rushed downstairs, gathered up all my stuff, and I'm hoping to get this recorded before she wakes up. Wish me luck. Or I guess good luck to all of us, right? So this year already has been busy, busier than usual. I know that things are always busy. Got 3 little kids that I'm home with all the time. They have events and lessons and school and just keeping up with the house. Like, all of it's really busy. But on top of that, I have been trying to clean everything, declutter and purge the house, and we decided to start house hunting. So we're hoping to be able to move in the next few months. I'm not sure exactly how quickly it happened. Lots of houses are starting to come up on the market because it's almost springtime, but we want to keep my son at his same school, so we have a very small area that we're looking in. So I'm not sure how quickly it'll actually happen, but I'm trying to do as much as I can now to prepare for moving and needing to list our house. So it's a lot of work, and I stitched a ton at the beginning of January. I had 4 finishes in the first 2 weeks of January, and then the last couple of weeks I have barely been stitching. I have stitched on a couple of things, but no other finishes. So we'll see how things go. I am trying to sneak stitching in wherever I can. Definitely stitching in the pickup line at school, so I have small projects that I keep for that. And then there are some nights where I just really need to sit and relax and stitch for a little bit, but then I'm tired, so I fall asleep. So we'll see how things go. First thing I want to show you is I finally put together my 2017 ornament. And this is a glass sort of M&M shaped ornament. I got these at Michael's. I actually bought them a couple years ago, but they carry them every year, so you can get these ones. I like the glass. I know a lot of people get plastic, but when I was looking at the plastic ones at Michael's, they were all scratched up, and I didn't like that. So I do have little kids. I also have glass ornaments. I just put them at the top of the tree. I used my Cameo to cut the vinyl for the year. And this is just a typewriter font that I downloaded from DaFont. And this is my 3rd one. So I have 2015, 2016, and now 2017. And I thought ahead. I went ahead and I made myself a 2018 so that I'm ready at the end of the year to just stuff my orts in there, put it on the tree, and be done. Finally thinking ahead. I made a few extras also that I'm going to send to some friends. Hopefully they're not disappointed that it's already February and they still don't have them. They probably aren't. So for finishes, like I said, I had 4 finishes. I finally started the Hands-On Design Year in Chalk series. I planned to stitch these last year, and I don't know what happened. I think I was nervous to cut down my half yard of fabric so that I would have the individual pieces, and I kept putting it off, and then I was starting other things, and then I just never started it. So this year I was like, I am doing it. So these are stitched on the Called For fabric. I have it in a different count though. It's Weeks Dye Works Gunmetal. So this is what January is charted to look like. I chose my own colors. This is charted in Gast, Chalk, and Tropical Ocean. And I don't think I showed you these before. Back in November, I was at my parents' house and they have an L&S in their town, and I went there and I got some threads just because. And this is actually those plus some new ones I bought. I just got a handful of Threadworks that I thought were pretty. And I just kind of went through the store. It's organized so it's like in rainbow order, so like all of the reds are together, all the pinks from like all of the different floss producers or floss dyers. So I went and I just went to each color section and found a Threadworks color that I want to try out. The nice thing about Threadworks is that there's no dye lot, and they're big. They're 20-yard skeins, so this will last you a while. They are a little more expensive though because they're bigger. So just if you're going to go grab handfuls, make sure you know that these are going to be a little more expensive than the other hand-dyed threads, but it's because they're bigger. They're cotton, they're really pretty, they come in so many colors, and so I decided to use these. So the white that I'm using for all of them is number 11231, and it's really hard to see, but it's white with like slight gray areas. This one has very few. Because the variegation is so subtle, I decided to not stitch this, the white, on these patterns as individual X's, and that's saving me a lot of time. I'm just going ahead and doing rows and finishing it up. With the colors, there is more variegation, and so I am stitching the individual X's for that. Okay, so again, this is what January looks like, and this is what mine looks like. So I used that white, and for the blue, this is what I used. It's like blue and gray, and the number of this one is 1056. Super pretty. I also finished, these are all starts and finishes in January, February. And on this one, I decided to go brighter with the pink. I didn't really want the pastel. And I left off, it's really hard to see, there's like a pink backstitch line on the inside of this white frame, and I didn't like that, so I left it off. This is what mine looks like. Roxy Shush. And the pink I chose for this one is 10061. And it's a very like raspberry pink. These stitch up so quickly. I'm excited. I originally was planning to stitch one a month and go through the whole year. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll stitch January and then February, and then I could try to finish them and have them displayed for that month. And then I got to the end of February, I was like, no, I just want to keep stitching them. So I also started on March, and this was also a finish. And on this one, I used the color 1047. It has a nice like kind of grass green and then like a lime green. This is not showing up very well. The lime green is like really bright. It's pretty. And this is what mine looks like. So these are a lot of fun. I'm planning to keep going with these. I didn't mean to stop, but I just got busy. So I already have April ready to go, and I'm using the white and then this yellow, and this is what the chart looks like. So that should be really pretty. My fourth start and finish was Quaker Pumpkin, and this was a Stitchy Box exclusive from the October box in 2016. I have already passed along my chart, so I don't have that to show you. It's getting really popular. Nicole Buckeye Stitcher, she started a stitch along, and they were using the hashtag Pumpkins in Winter, I think. Pumpkins in Winter Sal. I'll double check and then I'll put it down. And I remembered, oh, I have that. I've been meaning to stitch it up. The Stitchy Box included everything you needed. It had the fabric, which I am blanking on the name now, and who it's by. I will add it down at the bottom for you. And I don't remember the threads either, but they were all in the Stitchy Box as well. So mine has a couple of personalizations. I was having a really hard time because it's not symmetrical. and I know it's not really supposed to be because it's Quaker, but it was bothering me. There was like one stitch that you were supposed to leave off in this section, and I was like, nope, I am putting that in there. And then I did something funky over here, so some of my stitches are different, but I think it's beautiful, and I really like the way it turned out. If you want to stitch this one up, I suggest checking on Stash Unload or eBay. You might be able to find it. And you'll probably see more of them popping up because, like I said, after a bunch of these were posted on Instagram and in Stitch Mania, people seem to be looking for the pattern. So see if you can find one for yourself. It's really fun to stitch up, and it's pretty quick too. So those were all of my starts and finishes. Some of the whips that I worked on are, first was Gypsy Mermaid, and I don't have a before picture of this, but before this month, or before January, I just had the tail, so all of the colorful part. And in January, I got back to doing Mirabilia Monday, and so I was stitching on this one on Mondays. I did not stitch on it last Monday. I think I didn't stitch it all that day. But I am doing the skin 1/1, and those stitches are so tiny. I'm not sure if I like it or not. I think it looks nice. I just don't know if I enjoy stitching this way. So this is where she's at so far. Next, I need to figure out what I'm going to do about blended threads. When I pulled out the two skin colors, they look really different to me. And so I'm trying to figure out if I can pick like a third color that's somewhere between the two that I can use instead of a blend, since I am doing 1/1. And I should say, and I'm trying to figure out what to do about like some of these corners. I don't want to have really sharp transitions, so I'm trying to decide if I should smooth those out somehow by adding in some extra stitches. So first time, 1/1. We'll see how it goes. She's beautiful though. I also picked up my Satsuma Street Emerald City, and I don't have a before picture of this one either. This one, I think I added some of like the green and yellow in here, and this over here. I filled in this whole side. That was all empty. This is a lot of green. I like green, but after a while, I kind of need a break. You see, I needed a break before, and I did some of the trees. It does stitch up pretty quickly, so I had fun stitching it, but when I was done for that day, I was ready to pick up something different. But that is one of my Year of Whips pieces, so you'll see that more. Another day I just grabbed a random project. I grabbed my Primitive Ouija board by Clouds Factory. And I don't have a before picture of this one either, but I will put a picture in of what it'll look like finished. And this is where I'm at. I do have all of Goodbye and the full alphabet on that side. I stitched this. It's supposed to be like a moon. It's starting to take shape. And I made a mistake somewhere, so I have to figure out what I did. I'm not sure if I actually made a mistake in here or if I made a mistake up here, so things aren't matching up. But I might just fudge it. I need to spend some time looking at it to decide what to do. Love this one. Love this fabric. It's a Pictureless Plus. I think it's Pansy. But it's pretty. And my last whip I've been working on is Wanda's Witchery. It's a Mill Hill buttons and beads kit. And this one I got stuck on last year because I made a mistake and I couldn't figure out where the mistake was. And then I grabbed my stitching bag and this project was in there, and I'd already finished the other project that was in the bag. So I'm sitting in the pickup line and I was like, okay, I guess I should just figure out where I messed it up. And I finally did, and I got back to work. So I made a mistake somewhere in this dark blue up here, and now that that's fixed, I finished up the blue that's in the top there and added some more colors. So I added a bunch of this orange, the orange, and I think the green and stuff was already there, and then this pink is what I'm working on right now. These stitch up pretty quickly too if you don't make mistakes. So those are all of my whips. I did just a tiny bit of shopping. I told you that I got some more Threadworks. I don't remember, I only had like 10 of these before, but what I wanted to do was for the Year in Chalk series, I wanted to do a different color for each month. And so I was at Needle in a Haystack, got to meet up with Olivia, my sister stopped by, and I brought my son, and he got to pick a project. I'm going to show you his project too. And what I did was I brought all of my patterns, and I brought the threads that I already had, matched up the threads I already had with the patterns I wanted to use them in, and then I went shopping and tried to find other colors that I would like for the patterns that I didn't have colors matched up for. So these are all of the Threadworks I have now. I also need to pick up extra white. I think I might end up needing 3 skeins of it by the end of the year. So again, you'll see some of these pop up later. I'm not going to go individually, but when I show individual patterns, I'll tell you which ones I got. I also, on that trip, got Arranging the Kitchen Aids by Ink Circles. I'm planning to stitch this up twice. Hopefully I actually stitch it twice. I want to stitch it for myself, and then I also want to stitch it for my sister. Hopefully she's not watching. You don't know which one you are. I have 4 sisters, so you don't know who you are. I like the color conversion that Drew from Weasley Studios did, so I might do something similar to that. The sister that I'm planning to stitch it for, oh, now she's going to know who she is. The sister I'm planning to stitch it for really likes kind of like aquas and teals and lime greens, so I'm planning to use some of those colors in here. And lastly, I got a couple things from the Bendy, Stitchy, Michelle, and QLAQ Helga D-Stash sale on YouTube. I think it's YouTube. So they were selling, I think these were Michelle's, the set of Hands-On Designs Cool Beans. So I picked up the whole set, or the whole series, and I am planning to stitch these for that same sister. Really hope she's not watching. And I'm planning to do them all as one. And she also included, Michelle did, when she sent this, the pattern that shows the borders and how to lay it all out. So no idea when I'll actually get that started, but I have the patterns. And I also got the bead pack for Mirabilia's Royal Games 1. So that's the one with the cards. That's the first version. I don't think I'm going to stitch the new one, the Royal Games 2, that has the diamonds and clubs. I don't know. Royal Games 1 is just so much prettier, I think. So those are some exciting scores. Last, I want to show you my son's project. So he has been stitching like little kits, and they've been kind of difficult because I wasn't very good about kind of making sure that they were good for a beginner level. They looked like simple patterns, but then you open them up and one of them had 16 count Aida, and then the next one had 18 count Aida, and the threads are not great. And I tried talking my son into letting me swap out the fabric for fabric that I had and for the DMC threads that I have so that stitching it would be easier, and he is like a rule follower and he says, no, I want to use what's in the kit. This is what they gave me, this is what I want to use. So I wasn't able to convince him to not use what was in the kit, and if I had planned ahead I could have just like swapped them out without him noticing. So the first 2 projects he did were a little more difficult than they needed to be just because of the threads and the fabric count. So he was ready to start a new project. I wanted to go to Needle in a Haystack, so I asked him if he wanted to go with me, and he could pick out fabric and threads for a new project, and he was excited. So the project he's going to be stitching up is the Beekeeper by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, and I'll put a picture in of what that's going to look like here. And he's planning to give this to his teacher. The theme for their classroom is like bees and like beehive, and his teacher just really loves bees, so it's going to be her end of the year gift from him. And when we got there, he got his very own Q-snap, so he has his 8-inch Q-snap now. He picked out his own hand-dyed Aida, This is first hand-dyed fabric, and he got the threads. Some of them are from my big floss box, but the ones that I didn't have that are already in the floss box, he got to buy. This is a needle minder that I made him a couple years ago when he started stitching, and he always uses his Captain America. So this is what he's done so far. I can't remember who made the fabric or who dyed it. It's a company I hadn't heard of before. I do remember, though, that it's called Babbling Brook. And his stitches look so nice. Okay, he's 6.5. His stitches look so nice. And I have told him that they look really good, and he's trying really hard to make sure that he is getting the threads to lay flat. I gave him a couple of tricks that he can do to try to do that, and he's excited about it. He also got his very own blue book light, so he can clip this onto his Q-snap when he's stitching. He still isn't to the point where he can just stitch from the front, so he flips it a lot, but I'm kind of hoping that having the book light will encourage him to learn to stitch from just the front and kind of like find the holes by feel. But he's still working on that. So as he works on this more, I'll make sure to show you. So future plans, I'm just going to stitch when I can. I'm not doing any of the big stitch-alongs. I do have Into the Jungle by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I haven't started it yet. I don't know if I'll stitch with everybody else or not. For like stitch-alongs in the different groups like Stitch Mania and stuff, I'll probably only participate in those if they fit what I'm already planning to do, just because I don't really know how much stitching I'm going to be able to get in. The next couple of months might be super crazy, but I'm going to do my best to stitch too, because that is part of keeping me sane. On top of that, I have a sale that's coming up in my needle minder group. All I said was February. I haven't picked a date yet. I'll probably list stuff next week, and it's all Disney stuff. So every style of needle minder that I carry, if it's a Disney theme, and actually I have some other like cartoons and movie type things that aren't Disney, but I kind of figured would fit together with the other things for that sale. Everything's gonna be there, and it's destashed, so like good prices, trying to get them out the door. Need to get rid of things before I have to pack up and move. So you guys get to luck out. So if you haven't joined the group yet and you're interested, I'll have a link down below. That's it. So thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you again soon. Happy stitching!